Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals, such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with Avery Brohman of the Victoria Hospital Foundation. And this week we're going to be talking about the area that you live. You actually just chose to live there, so where is that?
Yeah, the Lansdowne Slope.
So that's just Lansdowne looking south over the city.
It is, yeah. I can actually see a lot of the city, including the hospital, from where I choose to sit in my living room. So it's a great location.
So you're newer to Victoria. Do you find that that's kind of one of the unique things about Victoria compared to other cities is you have this hilly terrain, and so you get a view in different places?
Yeah, it's beautiful. One of on our wish list, we didn't know if it could happen, but thankfully it did, is just the view of the mountains. So we can also see the mountains from our home. It's really nice. Obviously, Victoria, as you mentioned, the terrain. I love the fact that every 10 to 15 minutes you can drive somewhere and there's water. And I certainly didn't have that living in Toronto for 10 years. It was a bit of a concrete jungle. And then in Whitehorse, which the mountains were everywhere and it was beautiful. And I truly feel that Victoria encompasses both the outdoors that I loved about Whitehorse and then also has that city feel that Toronto has.
How long did you live in Whitehorse for?
I lived there for 2.5 years. I still go up quite a bit. I try to get there maybe once every 8 weeks. We have a home there. My husband does most of his business there. So the nice thing also about Whitehorse and Victoria, and one of the reasons we knew that this move could be possible for me, is because of the direct flight now. So Air North offers a direct flight. It's 2.5 hours round trip, Victoria to Whitehorse. So it's really nice too. When I'm talking to a lot of people as I enter in the city and meet people, they think Whitehorse is so far away, but in fact it really is a little jaunt on an airplane, and you can get to something completely different than what you're used to here and see more of beautiful Canada.
So one of the things when I first moved to Victoria in 1999, it was kind of a second city, and the flights used to have to go via Vancouver. So that's a big change in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I would think so too. I don't mind the travel in and out from the island at all. Again, being in Whitehorse previously to here, flight times were very scarce, so I think there's two opportunities every day that I could exit the territory. So I think this is just fine.
Actually, you can fly sometimes directly to Cancun too.
Yeah, you can. And the interesting thing too is from Whitehorse, you can fly direct to Vegas, I think, for 2 weeks out of the year. So there's a lot of Yukoners in Vegas at a certain time, but I'm so grateful that I can call Victoria home now. And to your point about where I live, obviously seeing the mountains were really big, but we also knew that it's a bit of a sleeper area. People don't leave that spot. And for us, that was intriguing and enticing. We had looked for, I'd say, about a year to find the right spot. And then knowing that the community is not new, and we already feel very welcome. Neighbors are already coming over. We haven't had that before when we were renting. That also intrigued us to the area that we found.
So you're right near the golf course. What's the golf course? Uplands Golf Course.
We are right near Uplands, so it's a good thing myself and Eric golf. We haven't golfed Uplands yet, but the Hospital Foundation actually does an annual golf tournament there, so I will walk this year.
So where do you go to buy your groceries and stuff in that area?
Well, I've got to be honest. I've always been going to Save on Foods here on Fort Street. I've also liked the Thrifties on Fairfield. We've still ventured to those areas. We've only been in our new home for 3 weeks now, so I haven't really veered away from what I know. but I know that there's a lot of beautiful grocers around the Estevan area. I know that there's also a Thrifties now when I cross over Hillside just down the street beside the Canadian Tire. So there's no shortage of food in that area.
Do you guys like to go out to eat?
Too much, yeah. Yeah.
So do I. Do you think that's a new thing?
Yeah, I think it's a new thing. I also heard moving here that per capita or per person that lives here, we have the most restaurants, and we're also known for our brunch. I believe that's true. I wish I cooked more. I think having my own home and a kitchen I can make my own, I will cook more, but I love the restaurants here. And you know, that's the one thing I really missed when I went to Whitehorse, but that I loved about Toronto. Any time of day, it doesn't matter. You can have a seating at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., or 4:30. And that's kind of the restaurant and culture scene here as well. I really, really like that. When you go into something like Little Jumbo or Vis-a-Vis, you don't even feel like you're in your city. I'm very grateful that we have it in our city, but you could be anywhere in the world. They're just really quaint spots that I've found that I return to quite often.
So since you just moved here in the last 2 years, do you find it kind of, how was the transition? So how would you explain that to somebody moving here from away?
The transition was quite easy because I realized I'm living in the most beautiful place in Canada. So,
shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah. You know what? It was great. My colleagues welcomed me. It was really nice to have friendly neighbors. Coming here from another city, of course, change is hard at times, but every neighborhood that we find something that we really love and we want to return to. I want to travel more of this island. In previous years, I think a vacation for me was, going somewhere warm or going to the United States, going to Arizona quite a bit. And now I want to explore this island. Last year, I drove up to Courtenay. I was so pleased with the restaurants in the downtown core of Courtenay now. I love Tofino. There's just something so stunning about that, and I can see why everyone from around the world wants to visit there. But we're so lucky with all of the beaches that we have. So for me, just exploring this island, when I moved here, I think my eyes continue to open, and I'm still in that honeymoon stage, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to leave that honeymoon stage, because I know people, their goal is to retire here, and I found Victoria at a young age, and I know that I won't want to leave.
Actually, I say to people when they want to buy and they're looking for an investment, is to invest where you want to end up. Yeah. Because I think you spend a lot of time and money, and it's harder to transition when you're older. However, that being said, there are newcomers clubs and there's organized things that you can do. The Union Club now has a transition welcoming committee. So do you ski?
I would say yes. My husband would say I don't. I skied as a child, and then I tried 2 years ago, and it wasn't good. The chairlift got me. I don't, but I know I could.
Yeah, there's two.
Yeah.
There's two great ski hills up island. So one of them is Mount Washington, which is well known, and it's kind of like a mini, I would say, Whistler, not as expensive, and they have the good restaurants, and it's easy for families to go up and stay. So, because you were talking a lot about the beaches, so one of the things in Courtenay Comox is you can go to the beach and kayak, and then you can go skiing.
I've heard about that, and I know that that's why a lot of people want that as a second home destination, so they can have the best of both worlds one day. One day, for sure.
And have you been up to any of the lakes, like Lake Cowichan or Shawnigan?
Not yet, no. But I want to, of course.
Well, they're lovely. They're only about an hour and a half away, compared to Ontario, where you had to drive 3.5, maybe 5 hours to get to your cottage. It's not so bad here.
I still just have a love affair with the city, to be honest. Prior to moving here, I was excited that Vancouver was so close, to be honest. And I thought, well, for the weekends, I can get that big city feel that I missed about Toronto. And I don't go to Vancouver at all. I think I did it twice in my first few months, and I thought, why am I going there when there's everything that they have here, minus, some shopping and big box stores. But our downtown core is full of surprises and one-of-a-kind items that you want to wear. Anyway, so, I I know I need to venture out, and I know I need to see way more of those lakes. But for me, there's still a love affair with Dallas Road and walking my dog along some of the beaches and Willows. We often walk Government House as well in the morning. For me, that would be paid admission, $30, like a botanical garden experience in Toronto. So for me, having access to these beautiful areas that I can walk my dog for free, I typically am not a fan of repetition, but for these trails I am, just because I'm loving them every day, and so does my dog.
Yeah, today I took my dog to a dog park close to the ocean, and she had such a good time. But for me, I just find being near the ocean really grounds me.
Me as well. There's something about water, and then there's something about water and mountains combined.
And whales.
And everything, yes, and seals. It's unbelievable when you can see a seal perk up and see you from the water. And I'm like, am I in a movie? No, I'm not. I'm living here.
Well, that's the other thing, is that the ocean is always changing, right? So during a windy day, you may see some people surfing along.
Yeah, and paddleboarding. There's boats. It's the lifestyle here is very outdoorsy, which is nice, and it intrigues me. Oftentimes I'm doing my morning walk and people are doing yoga on the beaches, yoga in the parks. It's, you move here, yes, for your neighborhood and yes, for your home, but you also move here to be outside. And I love that West Coast mentality.
How has your husband transitioned?
Great. He really likes it. Of course, he loves his job, and his job is oftentimes in Whitehorse, but this morning, December 6th right now. He was in shorts and a sweatshirt walking. And I'm like, don't take any pictures and do not show home because they've got a blizzard right now. So there's that. But no, he loves it as well. We love being outdoors with our dog. So every day we're walking her.
And what about the people? So you said they were very welcoming. But have you met interesting people?
I've met interesting people for sure. I knew a few friends that were here already, and it's obviously nice to catch up with them. But, a role in philanthropy and working for the Hospital Foundation, you immerse yourself in different groups. You immerse yourself with those people with the really big hearts that are volunteering on committees like yourself, our donor groups, our, the events capacity, my colleagues. There's 22 of us here. When you work hard together, you become close and you care deeply for one another. So the friendships that I've made are really because of work, and I'm very grateful for that. It's been very welcoming, and I don't know if it would be like that if I chose another line of work.
So seeing as you came from Ontario and then the far north, the population here is less than $400,000. So working for the Victoria Hospital Foundation, were you kind of worried, or do you find people giving?
This is a very generous community. It cannot be compared to other large hospitals, but friends of mine in the philanthropy landscape are raising the same amount of money as we do, and their catchment area is like 2 to 3 million people. So I knew from a leader of mine that this was a very generous community, and I see it firsthand. I'm blown away. I'd been in fundraising for 10 years, and then when I was up in Whitehorse, I worked for Shaw corporate office doing sales over the Northern Territories, which is really exciting and different for sure. And I didn't really know what to expect. I had not been working for a hospital foundation before, and I had no idea that, 40% at least here of the equipment in the hospitals is because of the generosity of the community. I don't think many hospital foundations can say that. And I was also really intrigued that a lot of individuals in our community know of the importance of supporting a hospital. The stigma that government funds everything in a hospital, it is there. It was there for me, I think, previous to this role. But certainly government supports us. But if we relied on them alone, we wouldn't have access to the technology we do. So this community gets it, and we've had a really great relationship with our community of donors throughout the years. And that continues to grow. And we're so grateful for that.
Okay, so what sort of events do you hold during the year for the Victoria Hospital Foundation?
So we have one signature event, and that's our gala, Visions, that we just celebrated our 29th year, and we're still riding high in this office because we raised $1 million, and I could smile for days over this.
And you raised $800,000 last year, so well done.
Yes, that it was a lot of fun, and a new team here as well. There's a few of us that are new, so just the look on their faces and to celebrate that accomplishment and success. We thought maybe we could do it for year 30, but the generosity in that room, the pledge drive, that live auction really drove results this year, and it was a lot of new support as well. And then we have signature events like that companies and volunteers put on for us. So we have the Uplands Heart Tournament. That's been around for about 41 years. They've raised significant money for our cardiac teams. And then we have events, like community-minded events like the Wing Fest. You sponsored that last year. Thank you so much. And
I'm sponsoring it again, and it's a lot of fun. Everyone should go.
Absolutely.
That was kind of a unique event, don't you think?
It was so unique. And I remember coming into our office. So it was a family that had been impacted by our pediatric unit, and they wanted to give back. And a few members of the family knew connections in the events world, and they thought, well, we've never done a Wing Fest before, and we were personally intrigued, and we didn't know, to be honest, how much help we could be of them, because we've got a pretty busy cycle throughout the year. They said, no, we've got this, hands off, and we just showed up, and it was unbelievable. To be on site and offer staff on site is one thing, but to see what they were able to do with the community themselves was very special. And the community wanted to support them because they knew this was a real story happening in our hospitals and in our community with this little girl, Eliza, who was, the poster child, for lack of a better term, of our latest You Are Vital campaign. But it was really a family that shared their story and the community that wanted to support them. So events like that happen with respect to, golf tournaments, bake sales.
Can I just go back and just explain? So the Wing Fest is unique because not only do you have maybe 20 different restaurants all producing all types of different wings, but you also have different drinks. So there are different pubs and stuff and community restaurants and stuff providing both of these. So that's why you want to be in that, because it was a lot of fun, and we got so much food and drinks for the price.
Yeah, and then you got to vote on your favorite chicken wings. And, that event, similar to any of the events we do, the golf tournaments, Visions, that is support from the companies in this city. That's the restaurant, that's the businesses that want to give back, the small businesses that want to give back to their direct community. So knowing that there was that so much support in its first year spoke volumes about what this community does for one another.
Okay, so tell me about the golf tournament.
Sure. Okay, so the Uplands Golf Tournament, again, another volunteer initiative that's been happening for 41 years. Some members of the history of the tournament is that some members have been affected by heart health at Uplands, and they wanted to give back to the heart health team here at Royal Jubilee. So every year, they typically raise $100,000. It's astronomical. They choose a piece of equipment and they fundraise for it. So there's a men's tournament and a women's tournament. And I love that because they're quite competitive. And to be honest, the women do a really good job at their tournament, and they're very competitive, and they want to know what the men raise, and they always top it, which is great. But it's a live auction, it's a silent auction, it's a seated dinner, and people enjoy Upland's course for the day. It's a private course, so it gives the community an opportunity to golf there, which we're very grateful for. We know that they don't do that for other charities. But also, there's something to be said about the members that pay annual fees and memberships, and they still pay to play on their course so they can give back to the hospitals. And that is philanthropy. So It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and they're quite generous, actually, that whole golf course. I've used them for events as well, and they're reasonably priced. Really great if you want to hold an event. You have to be a member, but you can hold events there. So we have 2 events. Anything else?
Well, there's always other things. I would also say events for us are also inviting supporters and our donors into the hospitals to go on a tour, to have events in our space to show exactly what they've purchased. When you work for a hospital foundation, there's a huge transparency piece. You know, Jane, if you were to purchase or fund a piece of equipment this year, in 10 years, we could show you where that equipment is. We could tell you how many people have used it, how many clinicians and care teams have touched that piece of equipment, and what it's done. So we often try at least 4 times a year to have our community come into our hospitals to see firsthand what they can do. And that usually is via tour, which is always exciting for us because going behind the scenes in the healthcare capacity is a special privilege, I'll say.
Yeah, well, I found last year when we did the tour of that new ward, that was amazing. And just even the thought behind the design on the floor, because I think there was some concern with Alzheimer's patients and the monitoring equipment, and then seeing how the doctors are interacting with the with their, I was going to say, like their long-term and short-term patients. It was very interesting.
Yeah, something I really admire about Island Health is they're innovative. They're thinking about the future. Innovation plays a huge role not only in technology but the design. And yet, to your point, they knew that dementia patients would go out of their room and go one way or the other. And oftentimes, from the research that they've shown, there's certain lines and colors that were on the floor to lead them not to leave the building, but to stay in the building. So, I'm obviously blown away every single time I can go to any area of care. We have many different areas of care, and to that point too, it's nice that this community can support our hospitals if a specific area of care resonates with them.
So you were talking about the Visions Committee. How many people are on that committee?
I think there's about 12 of you guys. Thank you, because you are one of those members. And for 2 years now, I've been part of Visions, and it couldn't happen without our committee. And this is a committee that, helps us with not only the design and filling the room, but with sponsorship, with auction, with live and silent. We couldn't do this alone. We know that Visions is getting so big now that it's, an all hands-on approach to our team now. Everyone has a certain role that they fill in Visions, but so do the volunteers. So that committee really drives a lot of the revenue that we see come from that event. As well, the volunteers from Island Health, there's 100 people the night of that allow Visions to happen, because we certainly, as a charity, could not pay 100 people to help work. And knowing that Island Health colleagues of ours choose to give back that night as well. Not only are they giving to our patients in the care in the hospital, they're giving back, and that's something that is amazing to see.
Yep. So they're selling teddy bears, and they're going around and making sure that everybody is happy. They're helping with attendance, who's coming in, checking in, and all of that. And then the photographers?
The photographers we choose the photographers. We have a relationship with these photographers that give us an extremely preferred rate, which is so nice. And they do a really good job. A lot of people come to Visions and they say, I come to Visions not only because it's a great event, but I know I can get my beautiful photograph that I'm going to put on my mantle for the year because it's a professional shot. It's so nice. So we, as a foundation, have made it one of our objectives and principles to give the photographs and the thank you letters back to all of the guests, and just so they know that, this event could not have happened without them, but, that they were very valued, and that that we want to give them a token of our appreciation. So a beautiful photo falls, and hopefully you'll get that in the next month or so.
So, and then also it's a sit-down dinner, it's black tie, and then at the end of the night you have a party.
We do. We have an after party, and that happens at the basement of the Fairmont Empress, and we got a band. So this year we hired a local band called Cities that was a recommendation of the committee, and it was just so fun. And something that was really nice is that, everyone felt so inspired after hitting $1 million, and to, the room, was elated at the fact that, we were, I think, $29,000 short. And we asked the room to do us a favor and try to round up. And then when someone did, a party erupted. And from there...
Well, it was numerous people, right?
It was numerous people for sure. And then at the very end of the night, we were so close to $1 million. And we had a very generous man stand up and said, I will do this for you guys. And from there, it was just... I don't think we've ever seen the after party that lit. Because we all were still quite amazed at the accomplishment that we had. So something that was really nice for me too is to see the staff on the dance floor celebrating as well. Everyone raising a glass to say, it took a year to get here and we did it, and it was a lot of fun.
So now we're starting for the next phase. So what's the next piece of equipment? When do you guys decide that?
Well, you know what? We know the equipment needs all year round. And we follow a capital process. So of course we don't decide what it is. It's Island Health saying this is our biggest priority need. So right now we're already looking at next year's, even though we're in a big campaign right now. And that obviously, a piece of equipment will be identified for Visions. We're not sure yet, but we know that Visions for year 30, we need to do something special. I think we're probably going to look at the past and what we've accomplished and then look into the future. I think innovation could be part of the theme, knowing that there's a lot of big strategic projects that Island Health wants support with, as well as some technology and innovation that our hospitals have never had before. So I'd like to include that into Visions too, so everyone knows where we're going, what the future of healthcare looks like. And we also...
The vision of healthcare.
The vision of healthcare. Maybe you've got the theme. And we also know that we need to offer more tables. We sold out a month in advance this year, and that was obviously because of some of the new sponsors that joined, and having them fill our room was really great. But also we allowed the public to purchase tickets, so we saw new people, and they really helped us out, and that was really nice. So we may have to re-look at a venue that can hold more people. So this year we had 314 people, I'll say comfortably, seated, but we know that there was a demand to have more people. So
there's the Victoria Conference Centre right beside it.
Yeah, I looked at that today. And we also crossed the street to Crystal Gardens. So we need to make sure that the 30th year is very special, and that might look like an expansion. The nice thing about those two venues too is that the Fairmont is very much a part of that. We would never veer away from the culinary experience that they offer, and they've been supporters of ours from day one. Well, maybe not day one. I do know that Vision started at the Bay Center, and then there was a ferry involved one year, but they've been with us for a very long time. So we could never do the event without the Fairmont, and they will very much be a supporter of ours this year. So we're working with them to see what we can do for a bigger room.
So just something to be thoughtful about is just that there's sound issues, I think, in the Crystal Gardens across the street.
Well, thank you.
Which is important when you're doing a live auction.
Yes, it is. And what else is important with a live auction is that there is that inclusiveness feeling. Everyone needs to be in a room. People can't be wandering around. We know that that moment of the night is an emotional moment, and that everyone needs to be focused on the story we're telling and supporting our auctioneer drive revenue for what we needed to raise money for. So this year we were raising money for imaging equipment, ultrasounds, MRI, 3T, CT scan. So this is big equipment that's filling our hospital. And I think, too, some of the success we saw this year was just the community supporting equipment that needed to be replaced, but also equipment that was new for our hospitals.
So how do people get involved, and where do you need help?
So we need help opening doors. Any new company that would like to join us and that's community minded and shares our same values, we want them to be in touch with us. Our website is victoriahf.ca, and then if you /visions, you can see what the event is like. It'll also probably show you in the coming weeks to save the date for next year. And then anyone that also wants to volunteer with us, whether that's on a committee, whether that's the evening of, coming into our office and doing some admin and helping us run around town when we need to. We've been very lucky with Maximum Express, a local company in town that picks up all of our auction items for us. But of course, there is those last minute details. And, now that we've kind of grown into a space where we're raising $1 million, we know that it's going to be bigger next year. So we never turn away help, and we need it. So the number for the people to call would be 250-519-1750, or hop on over and come into our office. We're located on Wilson Block, Royal Jubilee Hospital. So it's nice that we are on site at the hospital, but we still have our own building, so it's not like you're in the hospital. And then easy parking sometimes on Fort Street there, 1 hour free parking.
Okay. So if you want more information about the Lansdowne area, contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. And Avery, you can talk to her about volunteering and being a part of the Visions Committee next year, or just coming in and help at the Victoria Hospital Foundation. And thank you so much for coming.
Jane, thank you for having me and allowing me to speak about the important work that our hospitals play in the community. So thanks.
You're welcome. So tune in if you want on iTunes, tune in, Spreaker, or any podcast network if you can't watch us. And if you do want to watch us, we're always on VancouverIslandTime.com. Take care. Have a great day.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to VancouverIslandTime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.